Hello, my name is Angel. I'm an art instructor for Able Arts Work, and today I will be showing you how to create a rose using felt paper and pipe cleaners. For this project, we will be using red and green felt paper, a pencil and or marker, 3 pipe cleaners, a hot glue gun with a couple of glue sticks, a ruler, and finally, a pair of scissors. For this project, I'll be making my petals about 2 inches wide. You're welcome to make yours either smaller or bigger or the same size as mine, but I'll be marking mine every 2 inches apart. You can use a pencil or marker to place a mark every 2 inches along the top and bottom borders of your paper. In order to avoid making uneven petals, make sure the border of the felt paper is at the 0 mark of the ruler before you begin to mark your spot. And remember, you will be doing the same 2-inch marks at the top portion of your paper as well. Now that we have our marks, we will connect the dots from top to bottom. Begin by connecting the dots with the ruler and press firmly down on the ruler in order to avoid moving the felt paper. You will start at the top mark and glide your pencil down to the bottom mark. Repeat this motion a couple of times until you can see the pencil line. And don't forget to repeat these same steps with the marks that follow. Here's a side-by-side comparison between a pencil mark and a marker. I use the pencil because it leaves a lighter mark versus a marker that can eventually bleed through your felt paper and show when you put your petals together. I have chosen to make my petals 6 inches in length and will begin to cut the line marks I have created. Remember that when using scissors, you are using a sharp object. Avoid placing your fingers in the area you will cut. If you don't feel comfortable using scissors, ask someone to assist you. In order to be safe, I will slowly and carefully cut the line, beginning from the bottom and work my way to the top. Repeat the same steps for the next lines. I have 8 petals here with me, and the next step is actually fairly simple. We're going to grab our individual petal and we're going to fold it down the middle. We're going to make sure that the edges touch with one another, and it's going to be from top to bottom or bottom to top, however you want to look at it, but as long as the thinner edges are touching each other. And we're going to proceed to grab our scissors, remembering as well again to be careful when we're going to use them. And here I am just making sure that the edges are lined up with one another. But once again, before I start, I want to watch out for my fingers, and I will proceed to actually round off the edges off of my petals in a circular motion. It doesn't have to be a perfect one, but as long as it is round. And don't forget to repeat the same step with the following petals. So now we'll be using a hot glue gun, and here on the nozzle is one area that you're going to have to be aware of that's going to be hot, as well as this area that I'm showing you. So make sure that you do not touch it in order to avoid burning yourself. Now we'll be grabbing our petal, and we're actually going to be crossing it over to kind of create a V form. So you could just take one corner and cross it, overlapping. And as you can see right here, it looks like a V, but you could also kind of visualize it to be like a heart if you like, but a V shape is probably a lot easier to see. And once we're done with this, we're actually going to go ahead and add glue. You could actually stretch it out to make it slightly wider, but just be aware that this is going to be rolled over and you're going to be placing glue at the very tip at the beginning. So just be aware that when you are pouring out glue, it's coming out hot, so you want to watch out for your fingers and do not try to add too much of it, because the moment that you roll it over, that you begin to roll the petal, it will actually squeeze out a little bit of glue. So just be aware of how hot it is and of your fingers so you won't burn yourself. Here, I am just continuing to add more glue onto the same edge where I had first began. And the reason we add small portions is in order to avoid overflow of the glue and potential burning that may cause yourself. So once again, be aware that when you're rolling it, if you add too much, it might leak out and you might burn your skin. And we're going to continue this roll all the way across that V form that we created, and that V is going to actually help create the full safe zone of rows. And when you reach a spot that does not have any more glue, add small portions again and continue to roll on. And once you have it roll, I'll show you the next step. Unfortunately, while filming, the memory card got full, and I completed a step without realizing that the recording came to a halt. But here I'm just removing some of the excess glue, and now the next step is actually that we're going to be connecting this new rose petal with the old one. So the key is actually to make sure that our new rose petal will connect with the previous one where it left off. What I'm currently doing is just testing out how far or how close I will place my new petal from the previous one. You do want both petals to have contact with one another, and it just depends on how much of an overlap you want there to be. This will also allow me to decide if I want to slightly angle my petal in order to produce the top petal, and I am doing all of this before I place any glue, because once you add the glue, it will be impossible to remove the petal without leaving a gunky smear trail of glue along the way. Carefully begin to add the hot glue, and again, you want to avoid touching the nozzle and the hot glue itself. You will continue wrapping the new petal where the old one left off, and watch out for any excess glue that you might have added, because it will leak out and you might get burned, just like I showed you in the video right now. Once you have completed this, repeat the same steps with the remaining petals. Another way that you can actually glue the petals together is if you lay your rose on top of the new petal that you're going to add. The only thing to remember is that you will still be attaching the beginning of the new petal onto the previous petal that's already on the rose itself. So make sure you measure it out perfectly in order for you to glue on the right spots. And once again, when using the hot glue, remember to avoid touching the nozzle directly and avoid adding excessive amounts of glue, or else it's going to leak out. To begin this portion, you will grab all three of your pipe cleaners and you will twist them together at the top. So now the next step will actually be to grab the right pipe cleaner and twist it overlapping the center one, so that the right one can become the center pipe cleaner. Then you will grab your left pipe cleaner and overlap the center one so that it could become the center one as well. And then you will repeat the same steps with the right one overlapping the center one once again, and then the left one overlapping the center one once again. You'll repeat these steps until you have completed the full braid. And then at the very bottom, you can always just twist it so that it could be a little bit more closed off. Now we will be using our green felt paper to create the Sepal found under the rose. I have decided to cut out a 7" by 7" square. Although the square is large, it's better to cut big and have extra material to work with rather than cut small and have to start over due to a mistake. Remember to measure out using the borders, top to bottom, and also connecting the dots 7" by 7". Once you finish tracing the lines, use the scissors to carefully cut out the square by cutting along the trace lines. Now we'll begin to trace our sepal. I like to use a corner just as a guide to be able to make it a bit of a sharper look, but you create it as wide as you like. Since it's a large piece, we'll be able to decrease it in case it were too big. And in the center, we're actually going to put a dot. because that's actually where our stem is actually going to go through. So make sure to cut that out first, and then once you have your sepals spaced out, you can carefully cut them out. Now we will be putting all three of our pieces together. The tip of the stem will be passed through the center incision that was made on the sepal earlier. I will note that I decided to trim down our previous sepal, that is why it now looks smaller. Once the tip of the stem has gone through, you will want to twist it to create a small circular lock behind the sepal in order to avoid the stem from falling out. Next, you will grab your hot glue gun and place some glue on the bottom of the end of the rose. You will then firmly press it on top of the sepal where the shorter end of the stem is. Be careful when pressing against the rose. Keep in mind that there is hot glue underneath there and you want to avoid getting burned. Once the glue has cooled down, check for any open gaps between the sepal and rose. If there are any, carefully add more glue to seal those areas. Here is a comparison between the larger rose we just made and the smaller one that was made previously, in which I used 3 cm by 6 cm petals. Now, you're welcome to create it in any size you want, but go ahead and have fun, and you'll give it to any loved ones, friends, relatives, whoever you like. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.